what has happened is that, we're doing really very, very well with RCA, and have approached them a couple times in the past. Milled Open has a producer's contract with RCA, the type of which if he finds somebody that he thinks is good, he can record them, and RCA will back him and be sure that an album is released and stuff like that, just on his say-so as a producer. And we've had a couple people that he has done in that kind of a situation. And also, we have some people that I wanted to get involved with personally. And so then Jerry came in, and for him, his thought was to get our own record label. And that was pretty far-fetched to me at one time. And then it just comes around to, over the past 6 months to a year, we've been working on this, and now we have a label. It's going to be Windsong Records.
Windsong?
Windsong.
Oh, Windsong.
W-I-N-D-S-O-N-G, one word. And the first group that's going to be on the label is a group called Liberty from Aspen, who are some good friends of mine. In fact, I'm taking them on this tour that we're going on. And the thing that I like about them, well, two things. First of all, having this record label gives us a lot of freedom to do some things in the specific area of records exactly the way we want to do it. Yeah. And we'll handle every aspect of it, and then we turn it over to RCA and they'll distribute it.
Yeah, that's ideal.
So that's, absolutely ideal. And this group Liberty, now see, when it started off, I thought it was going to be, kind of a thing where we'll get one group and we'll do that, and then we'll see how that goes, and hopefully we'll be able to do another record with them and then maybe get somebody else. But evidently they're so confident in what we're doing that we have made a commitment to have 6 albums out this year.
Wow.
So that's pretty far out, and I don't have the time to produce all of those, you see. Now, I know the ones that I want to do, and also we actually don't have that many people signed yet. I don't want the space to record friends, because I got 8 million friends who would like to make records, and not all of them I think are,
should be making records.
Yeah, exactly. But this group Liberty, I've known them ever since I've lived in Aspen, and what happened with them is last year we wanted to do the same thing. We were going to make an album for them on RCA, and we got out to Los Angeles, and we were doing it around the first television special that I did. And we ran into some hang-ups when we got down to signing contracts and stuff because of one of the members of the group's commitments to Guru Maharaji. And we were unable to work that out to their satisfaction, so we didn't record, and nothing really happened then. And what did happen is that Johnson, members of Liberty, came to work for me, and the rest of the group just kind of drifted apart for a while, and then they came back together with 3 other people and have been working in Aspen, and they're like twice as good and 10 times more versatile than they had been before this. And they're still good people, and although I didn't really, reasons for doing something or not doing something are just reasons. The truth is that you do something or don't do something, and so there was nothing out of that little problem that came up that was a sticking kind of thing or a solid thing to last. So been watching them, and they went working together, and all of a sudden they were talking to us again. They really wanted to do it again, and they want to get out and work places other than the Red Onion in Aspen. And see, I think they're great. And like one of the things that I wanted to do is if we were going to sign somebody, then I would like to have somebody who whose music I could get behind personally, which there are some people's music that I don't get behind, and where I would be willing to make a personal commitment and to be involved as much as they would want me to be involved, and that's not necessarily the criteria that I have to be involved. So, and in regard to Liberty, see, I've never had an opening act in the concerts that I've done. I used Bill and Taffy a couple of times, and Liberty, the old group, a couple of years ago, when it was fun and when there were reasons like we're doing 2 concerts in one night and I really can't sing 5 hours. But usually I like doing a 2.5-hour concert because I have that much material and I can do that kind of a show, and people don't expect that.
That's true.
You know, and you go in and do a big show like that, and they really get off on it. Now, what's happening in the way that we're setting up this tour, which is different than going out 3 days on a weekend, and sometimes 4, and then going home every week, is that we're a major tour. We're doing, it started off as 35 concerts in 41 days, and now about 6 of those days have been doubled because the first concert's already sold out. So it's going to be a big tour and a steady tour, and I don't think that I can do the job that I want to do that long, that steady. So I think it supports me to have an opening act. And Liberty's a perfect group to have. They have their totally their own style of music, which I don't think anybody else in the country is doing now. And it's like if you were to take a cross between Maria Muldaur, Linda Ronstadt, Bette Midler, the Pointer Sisters, and back to who was the guy with the Western Playboys? Western Swing? Bob Wills. That kind of music. Okay? And they do all of that. And they do it, they're one of the most musical groups that I've ever heard. Musical. You know what I mean? Musical. And they do Western Swing, they do some Ink Spots numbers, they do I Remember You, Frank Ifield, remember that song? Yeah. They do Ain't Misbehavin', they do Miss Molly and Take Me Back to Tulsa, the Bob Wills sings, they do gospel songs, and they do some original material. And there's just nobody like them, and I think they're great, and they're great on stage. So I was really anxious to get them out and to see if we could get that on record. And they were a little bit stiff at first, and I was involved working on the television show, and when we finished the television show and I heard the finish of the tape that they had made, then I made them go back in the studio, and we more or less added or redid the vocals and even changed the whole track on a couple of songs. And I think now that we have Liberty on record. And what I tried to do in putting this all together, and I really have to acknowledge RCA because they've been incredibly supportive in this, is it was important to me, if I'm going to take them on this tour, I think they're going to knock everybody out. I mean, in fact, there's no doubt in my mind. They're great. They're really great. And they are going to, look, there's a balloon right out there.
Oh, it sure is. That blue one?
Yeah.
Well, what a nice day for doing that.
Is it coming this way?
I can't tell. It kind of looks
Well, let's
like
kind of watch that for a while. The wind is blowing.
Well, there's a plane underneath it. It must be landing, I hope. It's awfully low.
Oh, right here. Yeah, the plane is right here. See, this is the airport.
Oh,
Right here, or an airport.
Yeah. Oh, the plane is great.
Have you ever been up in one of those?
Yeah, I went up in a small one once. It was quite a sensation.
I've never been up in one. I went up 10 feet, tethered once, you know.
I also went up once. What was a great experience in a glider.
Oh man, do I love gliders!
Oh, there's nothing like that sensation.
Oh, that's great. John Summers is a glider pilot, so we've been up a couple of times.
I would love to do that.
Well, you know, I'm flying now. See?
Oh, you are?
Yeah, I've got working on my pilot's license, getting real close to that. And they seem to have those in there real good too. But
Are you taking lessons in accent?
yeah, and see, my dad was a pilot in the Air Force, and he's retired now, and he's been teaching people how to fly Lear jets.
Oh.
So we at this point are trying to get a Lear, buy a Lear, and and he's going to fly that, and we'll have another pilot, and then I intend to learn how to fly it and to at some point be able to have the plane myself. You see. But right now I have a single engine Cessna, and I flew it out to LA for the TV show and flew it back. And I love it. I just love flying. And then flying over the mountains is a trip. So, but anyway, what we did with RCA is about 500,000 people are going to see Liberty on this concert tour.
Well, we can't beat that exposure.
Not at all. And it was my purpose, and I knew that I really felt that they could make a good album, and I wanted to get on that album and to make it and to see if it was good, and it's finished now, and I think it's a great album. In fact, I expected to get some, real reaction from people. And then to have it in stores when Liberty does the concert tour with me, so that when people see them each night, and the next day they go to see, well, I saw this group Liberty, and I say they have a record out, it'll be there, so they can get it if they want to. So all of that seems to be working out, and then we'll want to record some more people, and I'm very excited about it.
Are you staying on RCA, or will you be going to Windsong?
I don't know. I think that I'll be, I intend to stay at RCA at this point. And it would be fine with me if I went over to Windsong. I'd like to support the label that way. But I don't want our label to be dependent on me. I would rather have it get its own thing going, and I'm perfectly happy with RCA. They've been great for us to work with, and it's something, we've built it over a few years, and it wasn't always easy, and there still have been fights to get things done right, but they have come, we're in a space now where we're really working together and where we really support each other in what we're doing, and they really do it our way, and I don't think you can beat that.
So you have say over an album cover, over the order of songs on an album, that sort of thing?
No, never had any problem over, I really had total freedom in the songs that I choose on an album and the order. There has been disagreement over singles. There have been problems in getting the cover done right, and it's not big problems. It's like up until this concert album, I've never had a cover, ever had a cover that came out on the album in the stores the way it was presented that it was going to come out when I did a final okay of a proof over here. One of the a big upset for me was the Back Home Again album, which had so many connotations for me and what I wanted to do with that album and what it was about, where it was coming from in my life, and how I wanted to present it. And I wanted it to be very uncluttered,
direct and simple?
Yeah, direct and simple and earthy, and I wanted it to be kind of like home, and I didn't want it to be old. Didn't want to fake it that way, which is why some of the colors were the way they were, because we could have antiqued it up a lot. And on the centerfold, that old desk and everything is all of that stuff on there, and the pictures are stuff from off of my dresser at home. But my dresser isn't as old as that, But we put all those things together, and then we hand tinted the pictures. I wanted to do that as opposed to having a color picture. I wanted a black and white picture that would be tinted, hand tinted. And that's an old style of photography, you see. So I wanted to do all of that, and I wanted it to be all in earthy, natural colors. And basically it was beige with this gold embossed lettering, see? And that went all the way down. It was final approved, and then there was a message that I wanted in the album having to do with EST. And when the album came out, when I saw it, the message was not there, and somebody had put in this really artificial plastic red and blue in a couple little places on the front. Do you know? And it was just because I put so much time not more time in that album, except I felt that that album was the best one that we had done up to that point, and it was the closest that I've ever come to getting the music that I have in my head right there. I mean, I like that album. I really like that album. The criticisms I have they're like 2 or 3 things that I would like to do differently. But otherwise, it's just right there. And then I've always taken the responsibility upon myself to talk with the art department, everybody personally, and to spend whatever time is necessary to make sure that they have the credits exactly the way I want them, all the information exactly the way I want it, and where it's really clear between them and me, and not through anybody, what I want it to look like, what picture, and how I want the picture to be presented, or whatever it is. And to take all of that time, to spend hours sitting on the phone in Aspen to go over something with them, when I could be outdoors, and then to have it come out with some dumb little thing like that. I thought, oh man. So, I told them about my disappointment, and I have to say that they have been great, and I think that was a slip up someplace. And it was not done intentionally to just do it their way as opposed to my way or something, And A.C. Lehman is great, and then the work that we put into presenting, like, I knew exactly how I wanted to present the package, or how I wanted this concert album to be. And it is exactly the way I want it to be. So I'm really pleased about that. And I think that, it takes time to learn who each other is and how to communicate to each other so that you're both clear and both going the same way, and then when you get to a point where you do that, things just get easier all the time, and it gets done. And it's a pleasing space to be in now, and I think that we can carry that through. I'm sure it's that we have that kind of support with what I'm doing with RCA, and so far we've had just incredible support in helping us get this Liberty album out right, so that it can be out when we do the tour.
Did you produce it, or did you say no? Did you both come in?
Well, Chris O'Connor, who is the co-producer of my albums, or assistant producer with Milt, is a producer, and Milt and I assisted him in this. Milt was there for part of the time while I was doing the television show, and then when I finished that, I came in, and Chris still handled everything, but I had some ideas that I wanted to do here, and I made him redo one vocal because they just didn't do it the way they did it on stage, You have to do things differently, it seems to me, in a recording than you do on stage. Not that you have to do it differently. Some things work, but quite often I find that if you do just what you do on stage, on record, what happens is that you come up and everything's a lot clearer and a lot cleaner and recorded nicely, and you can hear it all, which sometimes you can't on stage, and then it comes out being a dead recording, Sometimes you have to enhance it a little bit to make up for not having the visual, alive thing right there. And that's pretty much what I felt was missing in the songs. And it had to do with they've never been in a studio before, So for a first album, I think you're going to be knocked down, especially Bob Wills. So
I love Bob.
that kind of stuff and those kind of harmonies. And Jan Garrett, who is the girl in the group, could be one of the best singers that I've ever heard.
It seems like there's a real acceptance now, or a place for that kind of harmony and that kind of music.
Yeah.
I can see little instances of it.
It's really been opened up, I think, by Bette Midler and the Pointer Sisters and some of those things that are going on. And it hasn't been captured in a way to really reach all the people who are out there who would like to hear it.
Yeah.
There are a whole lot of people. And see, that's one of the things I'm excited about in my concert, because so many older people come to my concert. I think I told you yesterday how people come who've never been to a concert before, So they're coming to my concert because they've heard Sunshine, or they've seen me on television or on the Johnny Carson show. And then I'm going to add this thing to my show, which has to do with a lot of songs that a lot of these people know, done as good, if not better, than they've ever heard them, plus some of the new stuff. And it's going to be a dynamite concert, I can't wait. So I have Liberty open the show with all the range of stuff that they do, and then I'll do my concert, do about an hour and a half, I hope, with a film on some of the songs and the orchestra, and then get them back up, and we're going to do about 4 or 5 songs all together at the end. And I guarantee you we're going to have people dancing in the aisles, man. It's going to be a celebration. So I'm excited. I'm excited about that.
What is life like generally for you in Aspen? Do you have to keep a regular routine, you know, and get up and run or anything? You just kind of take it as it comes?
Totally undisciplined. I think, see, I try to discipline myself really extensively around the work that I do. You know, when I leave home, when I'm out making a record, I want to put the energy there. And I don't want it floating around in 8 million different ways, and I do that work. And I'm able to really discipline myself or around the television show, or especially on a concert tour. And when I'm home in Aspen, some days I get up at dawn, and especially now with Zachary, I like really getting up in the morning when he gets up, which is basically dawn, and feeding him and playing with him in the morning before everybody else gets up. It's a really nice time, you know. And sometimes I just sleep in. When I'm at home, sometimes I feel like I'm really lazy. Like, I get so much mail now, and I have mail piled up. I was embarrassed to find out, as a matter of fact, in January and February when I was home, I was trying to get caught up on the mail, which I never did. And I have mail that dates back to like early last summer that I haven't answered yet. And some of it's business mail, and it's all stuff from people, you know, writing about this, that, or the other, can you come do this or that, or how about this, or whatever, plus the fan mail. And I have a secretary, and she has, who is a real good friend, her name is Peggy Johnston, and then some other of our mutual friends in Aspen help her handle all the fan mail, and then the business mail. But I don't like to write letters. I think is what it gets down to.
Well, I can imagine with the volume that you would get, it would be impossible. You could do nothing else. Write letters all day.
So and it's, you know, when I'm home, it's like I really need time to myself. I really need time to play. And this is something that I recognize in my own life, and I kind of observe that I think that maybe people are all the same way, and a lot of people get stuck into thinking that you're a grown-up now and you can't play. You can't waste time. You know? There's no such thing as wasted time in my dictionary. That's just not a real thing, wasted time. But I like to play, you know, and I like to be out in the mountains. I like to go walking. I like to ride my motorcycle. I'm really getting off on learning how to fly. I love to sit and listen to music, you know, and I don't like to go home and sit down and start dealing with business.
I've never understood how some musicians can have studios in their home, because that brings your work around you all the time.
Well, now, see, I feel the same way, and everybody asks me, you know, when are you going to build a studio? And people have asked me to get involved in building a studio in Aspen, or do I want to record at Jim Garcia's place in Caribou, and all of this kind of stuff. And no, I don't. I don't at all. I want to go out to L.A., where there's virtually very little going on outside to be interested in.
No distractions.
No distractions. I can work on that album, boy, and really spend the time there, and then when we take a break, we can go to a nice place to eat or whatever and come back and go to work. But we work out there 12, 14 hours a day doing this work. Now, you don't do work like that and spend that kind of time at something unless you really enjoy it, it seems to me. And I love recording. I love going out there and making records, man. It's just so much fun to me. Like, it's interesting to me that sometimes for some people making records has gotten to be work. And I feel, I mean, how many people you must know, and I know hundreds of people who would give their eye teeth to get into a recording studio. And shit, I get to go in there and play, you know, and sing a song, and if I have an idea or a friend who's written a song that I want to do, and work to make it sound the way I think it, the way it sounds to me, that best enhances whatever it is I'm trying to communicate in the song, or just doing the music, whatever it is. And I get to do that. God, I love it. And then I finish that, and see, like this last couple of weeks, we were out in LA 3 weeks doing the television show and getting this concert tour organized and producing Liberty. And we were working 12, 14 hours every day, and the last 3 days we were out there, I think we were in the studio like 18 and 20 hours. And you finish that, though, and it's finished when you feel good about it. When you've got what you were after, and it's there, and yes, now it's just taking care of the details and getting the acetate cut to where it sounds like the tape and this kind of thing, but the record is there, and you leave that work then and go home.
It's separate.
And boy, it was such a feeling of satisfaction, and it feels so good to be back home because you've done your work, and you've done the thing over here which allows you to have this, and having this is what allows you to do that work over there. See, they're all tied in together, and also it's necessary for me, and I think really worthwhile, and for people to separate work and pleasure, business and home. But that's interesting, though, that the comments say, I have no desire to record in Aspen. Shoot, when I'm in Aspen, I want to go play in the mountains. That's real interesting to me, you know. And then now, people are after me, and not so much anymore, because I think that I've really gotten to be kind of accepted, or at least people understand what's happening with me. For a while, when things first started happening in a big way for me in Aspen, people in Aspen wanted me to do interviews on a local radio station or for the local newspaper, stuff like that. I still do benefits once in a while in Aspen. If I play in Aspen, it's to do something for something that's going on there. But they would ask me to come work there and stuff like that, and I say, well, I don't want to do that here. I do enough of that out there. And this is something else for me. And now people have really kind of have gotten that, and they let it be that way for me.
Have you gotten involved at all in, or have people tried to get you involved in Colorado politics? Very much.
To a small extent. I supported Dick Lamm running for governor, which I feel very good about. I think he's a real good man, and we're in a space where I think we might become good friends someday. We certainly are comfortable with each other when we meet, and we have things to talk about, and it comes easily. I don't know Gary Hart, and though I was asked to support him, I didn't do that, nor did I support Nancy Dick, who was a local congressman, nor Pat Schroeder. And I'm real interested in politics. You know, like right now there's a gentleman running for mayor in Denver, and he wants me to support his candidacy in Denver. And I don't live in Denver, don't know nothing about Denver, and I don't think that if I should be getting involved in that way. And I only want to do it when it's somebody that I feel so strongly about that I'm willing to go out there and take responsibility for, in a sense, influencing people. I think the primary support that I give somebody like that is that I can raise money for them. And I'm willing to do that, and getting less willing as it goes on, because I think the cost of running campaigns is getting ludicrous.
Yeah.
Really, really ludicrous. And I think that we need some changes in how we handle that aspect of our government, of our life here in this country. And I'm getting less and less willing to support that from any point of view, no matter how strongly I feel about it. But then when you have a guy like, there was a guy, Wayne Owens, who was a friend from in Utah, who was running for state senator, and he was against a fellow named Garr, I believe, who had all the money and all the business in Utah behind him. And so then it's an unfair campaign, you see. So what I was able to do is go up there and do a couple of concerts and raise some money to even out the aspect of those two representing themselves or presenting themselves to all the people, for the people to make the decision. You see, that's what I'm after, and what I'm really trying to do in ways whenever I can, sometimes in concerts, and certainly when I've done political benefits or something like that, is to let people know that I think it's time for us to take the responsibility for looking at what's going on and determining how we feel about it, and then doing something about it to represent those feelings. And it's got to be, see, I don't think that there's a politician in the world that's going to save the world. And I don't think that the government is going to save the United States. I think that the people can. And it's not going to happen until the people, on an individual basis, start running their lives in a way that represents how they feel as human beings. And I don't get that that's going on now.
There doesn't seem to be a rash of it.
Little to none.
Essentially, I had heard that Steve Stills went into Colorado to campaign for Hart.
Well, Steve lives in
Does he?
Golden.
I didn't know that. I thought he was in California.
I don't know for sure. I had heard that he lived in Golden. And yeah, he did a couple of things for Garry Hart, I believe. See, I don't know Garry. I campaigned for Governor Anderson here last year, and actually I didn't campaign for him. What we did together was we organized a big concert, a political concert at the arena over here, and they did it two ways. And this was Wendy's idea, and I really applauded it because, first of all, I think he's a good man. He's a good friend, and I would do things for him that I wouldn't do for a lot of other people whose ideas maybe go along with my thinking. But Wendy's a personal friend, a real close personal friend, and he is a good man, you know, and I really love him more than just saying I love him might say, you see. And his idea was he would like to do have me do a concert. What he wanted to do was have like the $100 a plate thing, and then have so many of those for the arena floor, and then have some that were a little cheaper than that. And he organized it in a way. He gave me total freedom in doing my concert, and they had the dinner beforehand, and then they had 5 or 6 speakers. Now, 5 or 6 speakers at a political event, that starts getting scary, especially one of them, Hubert Humphrey. Well, they had 6 speakers, took a total of 30 minutes. Total, 6 guys took 30 minutes to say what they had to say, and then I did my concert. And it came off as a totally positive evening. We raised something like $350,000, which took care of 80 or 90% of Wendy's campaign for governor last year. And we had a lot of young people there who were able to see firsthand an aspect of politics that isn't necessarily all that great or that enjoyable, and to come out of it feeling good and positive, you see. That's far out. Now also what happens though within that framework that I recognize that is something I don't know necessarily how to deal with, is that a lot of people will come to see me in concert and pay their $5, and they're voting for the other guy anyway. You know? So, but I'm accomplishing what I'm there for. See, I'm not there to tell people, and in fact, I did this at all of these concerts. I said, I want you to know that I'm not here to get you to vote for Dick Lamm here in Colorado. And I have no qualms about telling you that I am voting for Dick Lamm. But what I'm here to do is to kind of equalize the expense of candidates going against each other, and to let you know firsthand that I'm willing to take time to support the candidate of my choice. And I can do it in this way, that's really far out. But you can do it in your way too. And I think that you would feel good about doing that. And that you should take responsibility for doing those things that support your feelings. And that's all that I'm trying to do. And go vote for whoever you want. See, I really don't care. I'm sure that whoever's elected is to be exactly the guy who's supposed to be elected. And then I wished Dick good luck. And did an encore song and left. And it was great.
Would you ever think be in a position where you would want to run for public office?
You know, Chet, that's an interesting question because I've thought about that a lot, and over the past year or so, I've had a lot of people ask me about that. And I don't know. I'm really intrigued by politics. I think John Kennedy said that politics is the art of he described politics or defined it as an art form, which was not governing people. Gee, I wish I could think exactly what it was.
I don't know. I remember the quote you made, but I can't even paraphrase it.
Well, is that close though? But it
Yeah,
said,
yeah.
and he loved politics. See, got off on it, and I can see, you know, in the little exposure that I've had to it through watching other people, and the excitement that I have about what I'm doing in my own way in my work, which I think has to do, in a sense, with serving people. See, I think politics is a service.
Or it should be.
It should be.
Yeah.
I don't know that it is today, but I think it should be. And in fact, I think that's a real good observation because I think that's one of the ways that it's gotten totally off track. I don't think those guys are up there to serve people.
Yeah.
They're up there to serve their own ego.
But do you think if you ever saw an opening that you knew that you could handle it and you could do some good there, and the opponent would not, you know, do you think you'd really be tempted to
I don't.
try your hand at it?
I don't know, Chad.
It would be hard.
I've thought about it, and I lean two ways. You know, I would love to do that because I think that I work with people well, and I think that I'm capable of making decisions, and I also feel that I'm able to get people around me to give me the knowledge that I don't necessarily have myself. You
Well,
know,
that's what Kennedy did.
yeah,
For a
and
while.
I've got a really good family of people who are helping me do, supporting what I do with music, and it's working, you see. And I think that I could expand that, and so that aspect of it, see, it's not something that I would be afraid of, but I don't know that politics right now is something that's working. I personally think that my music is working better than politics is right now, in regard to serving people.
Speaking of politics, how did you and Dr. Thompson meet? I learned about it in reading Trudeau, I think, the cartoon.
Well, I read those cartoons. I really enjoyed them. I don't know Garry Trudeau, and I sure would like to meet him because I think he's got a nice little sight into a certain particle of life. And I've met Hunter only once, which was the first time that I worked up at Snowmass. And Michael Shorheim, who runs the Jerome Hotel Bar in Aspen, was working at a place up in Snowmass, and one night after work he took me out to meet Hunter, and it got to be a pretty far out evening, and I don't remember very much about it. We played music, some real loud music on the record player, and I met he and his wife, and it seemed like we talked a little bit, but it was nothing, no contacts were really made, I don't think. And so I haven't seen Hunter since, nor have I taken the time to look him up, and I really admire him. I love the things that he's written for Rolling Stone. I love Fear and Loathing in Washington. and I really enjoyed his Fear and Loathing at the Super Bowl, and I haven't read Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. But I think he's a real interesting guy, and I'd like to spend some time with him, and that just hasn't come up yet, and will whenever it does. So I really don't feel that I've met him or that I know him, and I have no idea what he thinks, or if he even thinks about me.
Did you meet him before or after the Trudeau thing? I was just trying to think of the time.
Before, Trudeau was just a couple of weeks ago,
Yeah.
right? A few weeks ago.
Yeah, it's not been that long.
A couple of months maybe. And the one time that I met Hunter was in 1969, once.
It's interesting that Trudeau would seize on that idea.
Well, see now, I'm interested in that too. That's why I'd like to talk to him, because I'd like to find out where and how he got the two of us together, whether we're, in his mind, two totally exact opposites, you know, or what it is, because it's real interesting, you know. And I thought the cartoons were just hilariously funny.
Well, you just missed Trudeau. He was in New York on the weekend.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He's going to Samoa to do a story for Rolling Stone.
Yeah. Far out.
It should be.
I'll bet. Have you met him, Chet?
No, I didn't. He was at the Drake across the street from our office, and he was gone when I called him. So. I do like this stuff. He's very insightful, especially politics.
Yeah. I read the papers anymore. I kind of peruse through the papers as I peruse through periodicals, just picking out articles that interest me, because news as presented in the media today is not necessarily news to me anymore. It's gotten to be just the bullshit that's going on, it seems like. But there's some things that do interest me. The fossil remains that they found in Texas. How about that? 56-foot wingspread?
Yeah, bigger than an S4.
Isn't that something? See, I'm excited about it. I'm interested in anthropology. I'm interested in Leakey's studies in Africa, and I'm interested in the history of man. You know, where in the world we came from, and I'm interested in astronomy. Whenever, you know, like the black hole thing, I was following that for a while. I thought that was real interesting, and interested in science, and I'm interested in entertainment. You know, not so much the movies, but television, music, what's going on that way. I just pick through things and read them. I pick through comic strips, you see, and I read Doonesbury, and I read Peanuts all the time, and the guy from Andy Capp.
Oh, the guy who's always in the bar.
Yeah, I really enjoy that. I really got into watching news. I think I think it's an incredible time to be alive. A really, really interesting time. I think that in our lifetime, we're going to see the history of, or the future of the human race kind of decided. And rather than say maybe the history of the human race, the future of life on the planet Earth, we will know where that's going to go before we die, or as we die, and that's a possibility too. And I think that's very interesting. I think it's very conceivable that we might contact extraterrestrial life in our lifetime. I think in our lifetime it'll be possible for a man to go into space. I want to go to the moon.
Really?
I do. I really do. And it's just an interesting time to be alive. I think there are changes going on. Like, I'm so interested in this incredible change in economic power that's happened over the last year. You know, and I'm really very anxious to watch the results of that big shift that took place very quickly, because I think the results are going to be going on for a while. and I don't think that people generally are aware or understand or comprehend maybe what has happened. I'm very interested in finding out what happens with food. I'm very interested in finding out what happens with fuel. I'm very interested in finding out what happens in regard to pollution. I'm very interested in finding out if we're going to survive, which is what it comes down to. And I intend to survive.
By any means necessary, or that's something to think about too.
No, I wouldn't. I'm not sure that it'll come to that, you know. I'm interested in preserving and taking care, or knowing that I'm going to be able to take care of my family, my friends, myself, and of being in a space and preparing to handle that, you know, the downside risk. In the status quo, I think I've got it covered. And if it gets better, it'll get better for everybody. And I just have some antenna out and a line of thought that's really watching and trying to keep the bottom end covered. You know what I mean? I want to, like this thing last night in New York with Bob and Lola Redford and CAM, Consumer Action Now, and what they were doing with Sun Fund to raise some money and focus some attention on solar research. You know, some interesting comments were made last night. If the sun were something we could use as a weapon, we would be living off solar energy for a long time now.
Oh, good.
You know, and that's simply not the case. And the sun is something that's there, is going to be there for a few billion more years. I mean, we can use all the time. Wind is, and there are homes now that are being run totally self-sufficiently off of solar energy or wind energy, and it's something that's available, and we're not taking. It's like in having lunch with Governor Anderson today. He was talking about how he had mentioned someplace to somebody that one of the things he experiences every day is people taking pictures of him at press conferences or whatever it is. And he said 90% of those people taking pictures of me are using Japanese or German cameras. All right? Many of the people in public life or in the higher echelon of government drive foreign automobiles. In fact, something like, and he said figures and sounded like he knew what he was talking about, and I don't think that I got those. But I wonder how many cars, now how many Volkswagens do you see on the street compared to anything, you know?
Every other car.
It's got to be 30 or 40% of the cars in the United States are foreign automobiles, you know?
Television.
But do you know that, like, the Korean Army is the 5th strongest army in the world? The South Korean Army is the 5th largest military force in the world right now. Now, I don't know that, but that's what I heard. And the reason they are is because we are supporting them. We're supporting something like 78 military organizations or armies or whatever around the world. And we got the best in bombs, man. We got the best in guns. I mean, they want to buy our planes. They want to buy our tanks. They want to buy our missiles. But we have to buy their cameras. The things that we use, the things that we have to buy their cars, you know. There's not a car made in the United States that is as efficient and lasts as long and runs as well, to me, as like a Porsche. See? Now that's a twisted, I mean, something got twisted someplace, you know? And I think we have to change the values. We have to alter the values in the society if we're going to alter the course that we've set for ourselves. And I'm real interested in observing that. And I would like to be a part of changing those values. And that's essentially what I think a lot of my music is directed to. See, I don't really feel that I'm directing the music. I do these songs, and they all seem to come out of certain things within me, and they have to do with certain aspects of life. But the one thing I can say about them is that they all are observances of the truth of my life, you know? I mean, sunshine on my shoulders. I can walk out on a day like this, and it feels good. Sunshine sometimes, you know, sun glancing off the water and glaring in your eye make your tears come. And there are a lot of pictures that might go along with that. But that's something that's right there. And I know that it happens for everybody, you see. Back home again, coming home coming home to a place that you built. This is my home. This is the area that I grew up and I was able to get for myself. To say, this is my place, and I will build this around me the way I would like it to be, and have the things that I would like to have here, and have a place where I can live, and where I can have my friends over, and be comfortable with them, and raise a family. To have a home, that's far out, man. To have a home and have a lady who loves you and who you love and who you're growing together as you grow individually, and then all of a sudden to add to that, a little child. Now that, to me, is the essence of life, living and moving and going on and carrying on.
And that used to be the real cornerstone of the American belief. You know,
Well, I kind of thought it did too. I've heard that. I don't see it anymore, but I've heard that someplace. And it doesn't make any difference to me if I heard that, or if that's what they used to say, or if in fact that's how they used to live. My observance is that these are the things that I'm getting off on, that work for me, regardless of whatever else is going on. You know, like I really enjoy the mountains, and I enjoy looking at the stars. And I observe, like every year, there's a constellation. There's a few constellations that are friends of mine, I feel like. One of them is a constellation called Lyra. And I think it's about 28,000 light years away. And there's a ring nebula in Lyra. It looks like a little tiny smoke ring. Little tiny smoke ring. Now, see, I've seen smoke rings, and they always disappear. They last very short times. And I've been looking at this one now for about 5 years. Every year it comes around, it's still there. Every single year. No matter what happens, what goes on, time of year, there comes Lyra again. Boy, there it is. And it's like an old friend in the sky. Those mountains, they sit there and they watch it all happen. They just sit there, and every year, as hard as it gets, and as much stuff as we throw out to deal with or to make important stuff like that, spring comes around. And a dead world that's gray and cold and hard to deal with, all of a sudden comes alive again. It happens every year. It just amazes me. And I rejoice in that.
And it's something that a lot of people never, I'm sure they never think about.
I don't think they do either, Chet. And so that's what I'm singing about. Those are the things that I see. And if you're not looking at that, well, that's okay. And if you're not interested in that, that's okay. But if there's a space in your, if there's an empty place in your life, then maybe you might look at some of these things to see if they work for you. And if they don't, that's okay too. All I'm doing is sharing what's working for me. And I have a sense that my life is working. You know, I'm a healthy person. I'm a growing person.
It's funny, I was going through some of the clippings in our file, and several of them quoted you as saying, you know, that you actually had what you considered a perfect life. You know,
Oh, yeah.
which is really, you know, I don't know of anyone else who can make that statement.
Well, that's a real interesting thing, Chet. And see, I think that that the statement is true for everybody. It depends on how you look at it. But I'm really aware of the perfection in my life, both from the point of view of what I'm doing and what I'm not doing, and what's working and what's not working. You know, I said yesterday, the truth is always there. The truth is always coming up. Boy, people go through a whole lot of stuff, and I get caught in it too, trying to kind of hold back what's really happening inside. You know, when you let it be there and really experience the truth for yourself, then you move. And see, I'm interested, for instance, in success. I've seen success ruin some people and destroy some lives. And I've been very nervous about it. Like, for a time in my career, when Jerry was talking about bigger and better things, and I don't know that it was better, but it was bigger things. You know, there was a time when I literally did not want to play a 15,000 seat hall. I thought that I could do what I wanted to do best with about 2,000 people. I could make that feel really close, I thought, and really be with those people. And I could do it up to 5,000 people, but I didn't think I could do it in big arenas, you know. And I didn't really want to, you know. I wanted to kind of set a limit. And then I kind of got into a space about wanting to be a big success. And then I got through that, and it didn't make any difference anymore. What made the difference was that I wanted to sing for people, and I want to live in Colorado, and I want to do these things with my life, you see. And when it got to a place of just doing it, all the other stuff just started happening, you see. But now I look back, and I can see that from my childhood, when I first started singing, I have been I've certainly been on the path that's brought me to here, you see. And in a sense, I think that I'm a very, very successful person in the business that I've chosen to operate in the game that I choose to play. And whereas there are a lot of other people that I observe who I feel akin to or relate to, and who have the same things happening in their lives, a lot of them aren't happy. A lot of them are having incredible problems going on in their life and in their work through the success, you see. And that's very interesting to me, because I noticed that, you know, there are a lot more demands. Life is a lot more demanding right now, in a sense. There's a lot more that I'm responsible for, or maybe I'm aware more of the responsibilities that I have. But I am what I've always wanted to be.
And that makes, well, I can see that making perfection. There's no arguing with it.
See?
But at the same time, that there's a connotation that perfection implies stasis or not growing. Which
I disagree totally with that.
Yeah.
A lot of people, Chet, think that perfection means without fault or without mistakes.
Yeah,
See, I think that, you know, you have to define the words here. Perfection has nothing to do with right and wrong, or good and bad, or mistakes, or corrections, or perfection is simply the way it is. I'd really like you to get that, because that is the truth in my experience. Perfection is simply the way it is. And if it is the way it is, that's the only way it's going to be. We're talking about here now. Then why waste energy worrying about how it might have been or how it could have been, or how it might be, or how it used to be. It is the way it is. And it's perfect that way.
Perfection then is acceptance of that more than
Surrender.
Surrender.
Surrender. And see, that's,
Sweet surrender.
you bet your life it is. How perfect an existence for fish to float in the water and swim and let food float by and they get it. How far out is it to be a bird and fly around the trees? Go down there and eat the worms out of the grass over there, go over there and eat the stuff off of that tree, and go back and build the nest and fly around. You know? And when you fly through the air, you part the air. When a plane goes through the air, it parts the air. There's a disturbance there. When the Indians passed through an area of land, they left it as though they had never been there. They came and did whatever they did and took what they needed and gave back what they could give back and left it the way it was and went on, you see. You go through the space and you allow it to fall in behind you.
Like
So-
parting the air, right?
Yeah. So live, because that's all you can do anyway. Live, do what you're going to do, be who you're going to be, and go and don't get in the way of it with all the stuff, you know, with all the considerations, with all the analyzations and stuff like that. Just do it. And more than just do it, just be it. See, I really said that really well. When I said over there, I was going to say, I have everything that I've always wanted, and I didn't want to say that because that's not right. And I'm doing everything I've always wanted to do, and no, that's not right. But I am what I have always wanted to be. And that is the truth, you see. And I think, in fact, it's not that I think, but I observe that if people were to take a really good look at themselves, they would find that they are exactly the way they have always wanted to be.
True, I can see that because otherwise you would not have made the decisions you made that led you to what you are now. I would think.
Yeah.
Every time you make a decision.
And at the same time, excuse me, Chad.
No, I was just going to say, every time you make a decision, then you start unconsciously working toward one.
Consciously or unconsciously, you know, you do what you do. And then people get all locked up and worrying, why did I do that? Well, you do what you do, man. You did what you did, and you're going to do what you're going to do.
And that's not necessarily fatalism.
I don't think it's fatalistic at all, and nor is it a confining kind of thing, nor is it predestined. You see? It's like the truth, Chet. I have a sense that people, like let's say, you know, we meet each other, okay? Now, especially in this regard, doing an interview, and I'm really worried about what preconceptions you have of me. And I'm worried about all the considerations and preconceptions I might have of you. And I don't know you yet, and I don't know if I want to know you. And through that, I don't know if you want to know me, you know? So what I'll do is I won't quite throw it all out. See? Now, what I'm trying to paint is a picture of how I think people operate with each other. I'm not going to tell you the truth, because that, you know, we can just kind of start feeling each other out, and then I'll find out a little bit more about who you are, and you find out about me. Then if I don't want you to like me, then I can do this, or if I do want you to like me, then I can do this. See that game? Now people, and now in saying it that way, you see how you're kind of talking about how it gives you a lot of room to play? My observation is that is the most tight constricting chain that there is. My experience is that if I can come and tell you the truth, just lay it out there, man, then I'll totally open up the space for you to be who you are, and that it really opens up all the room in the world for us to do whatever we want to do in regard to each other. If I don't like you, I'll tell you that I don't like you, and that's great. That doesn't mean that it has to mean anything to you, say, okay, I've met you now and I know something about you and I choose not to operate in the same space together, so, screw you and I'm going over here. Or you can say the same thing to me. See? But if you tell the truth, or when you tell the truth, and in telling the truth, the truth shall make you free. Who said that? Is that in the Bible or something?
Yeah, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
You ought to take a look at that, because it is the way it is. The truth makes you free. The truth opens up the whole universe and puts it kind of at your command.
And you have so many people running around today who are trying to define truth.
Yeah.
That was one of the preoccupations in college. I was an undergraduate. Would argue late into the night what is truth.
All right, let's talk about what is truth. See, I know that. I know. It's more. Look at it. How many different things can you look back on and say that, or kind of identify that people said the truth was, or what it wasn't?
Nothing that ever stuck.
Nothing that ever stuck. Well, how about just taking a look out there and seeing that the truth is the way it is? You see? And the best way to experience the truth, in my opinion, or the first way to experience the truth, is look at yourself. Look at the fact, look at how you feel. Just put a piece of you out here and notice that's just going to watch you through a day, through a week, through a month, through your life. You see? Have this piece that just is going to watch you, and you'll find out that the truth is always there, especially in the way you feel. And more than what you feel, like, I don't know how to feel scared, but I know that sometimes I am afraid. So I could go on all day trying to tell you how to feel afraid, or describe how I feel, this thing that I call afraid, but the truth is that I'm afraid. And there's a lot of stuff that goes on with it. And what happens is you start identifying each of those things that go along with your being afraid, you get rid of all of them, and pretty soon you aren't afraid anymore, which is pretty far out. But the truth is the way it is. And I would really like to be able to share that with people, so that they can experience it for themselves. You see, now, I love, and I think I said this yesterday, I love talking with somebody who has questions, or somebody for whom I have questions, because then you start going and start looking at things, and when you try to say it, when I want to communicate something to you, and I've got to tie down how to say it best, so I can really, I want you to get what I'm trying to say, which is what happened over here when I said I am what I've always wanted to be. There were a whole lot of different ways that I could have said that, but the right way, the way that really tells it like it is that I am what I've always wanted to be. And see, there are these things that I would like to share with people, and I have a feeling that, or a sense that I start throwing this stuff out and making it sound like I'm right, and anybody who doesn't go along with my thinking is wrong.
Well, no, I think you're saying that you're right for you.
Well, that's what I would like, yes. See, these are the things, from a space of really looking and a space of really trying to communicate what my experience is, which is the work that I do, which is the music, which is why we're talking here today. These are things that are in front of me now, and they're very real to me, and I'm totally willing to share with anybody who's interested what it is that's happening for me. You see, I have a sense that people are interested in me from the songs that they've heard that I do. You know, they would like to know where those songs come from, or why is it that those songs mean something to them. It would be nice to share with you some letters that I get from people that I'm not sure I should share, because they were like communications, personal communications from somebody who wanted to tell me something. You know, I get a lot of fan mail from people who want autographs or want to know if I have a dog, or who's the dog on the greatest hits cover, or you know, things like that. Or how many children do you have, or what do you like to do, stuff. But also, I get letters from people who write and who want to tell me something that happens to them or has happened to them through their experience of my music. And they're letters that really thrill me. I got a letter from a guy a little while ago, and I'm willing to tell you this one because he didn't sign it, and there was no address. It was signed a friend. The fellow was in Ashland, Oregon, and he has a wife and 2 children, I think, and the thing is, his wife had a nervous breakdown or something, and was in the hospital for a long period of time, and was really stuck in something, and she couldn't cry about it and couldn't talk about it and didn't even seem to know what it was, but she was not functioning. You know, they had her in the hospital. And then they got through a point where they could let her go home on like weekends to be with her husband and their children, but she still had to stay in the hospital, and she had to keep going back and forth, and she was still not functioning as a human being. So one night they were with some friends. One weekend when they were home with the family, they were with some friends at their house for dinner, at the friend's house, and they put on a bunch of my albums and started playing them through the course of the evening, listening to this music. Pretty soon the lady started crying, when she hadn't done that in a year, and pretty soon she started talking. And now she is home with her family, her children, and she's functioning again. She's living again. And the guy just wanted to write and to thank me for that, to let me, and I don't think he wrote to thank me, he wrote to let me know, you know, just to share what had happened, see? And, I mean, that's such a far out thing.
Does that, can I interrupt? Does that ever frighten you or humble you to know that you have that power, or that you have that potential power over the lives of people who will never see, numbers of them?
It doesn't frighten me at all. And I think it does humble me. See, I don't think that I have anything to do with that, except in creating a space for myself to be in, which won't get in the way of that. You know, I talked yesterday about not getting in the way of the music. That's totally my intention in regard to the music that I do. I don't want to get in the way of it. I would like to support it and enhance it. I would like to, and see, I was going to say make it real, and I don't think that that's what I mean. You know, I want to express the reality of whatever this is, which is the music, and then let that be whatever it is for other people, you see.
Yeah, the reaction is in the other people, not
Exactly.
your message. Yeah.
Exactly.
Because it would not touch everyone the same way or affect everyone the same
Right.
way.
But Chet, I get letters like this. I mean, that's just one that I got before I went out to the television show. But letters that I've gotten like that. And I just think it's really, really far out, you see? And it's something that's happening that seems to be happening, hopefully not in spite of, you know, but it's like that's just something that's going on through this music, you see? And so what I'm doing is just creating a space for me to go on doing this music, or go on creating a space for this music to come through? I don't know. You know, I really don't know. And yet, I too get stuck in trying to define it. And one of the ways that I try to define it is saying that the truth is the way it is. And then I'll try to put that in a song, you see. Sunshine does so many things for me. Rocky Mountain High, moving to the mountains and discovering myself is like being born again. Born again. A totally religious thing that had nothing to do with the church.
Just a lot behind the time that.
Well, see, it's like, I think that when you find out who you are, well, see, there was a space in there was a time in my life, and the most of my life leading up to this one summer, when I think that I was at the effect of everything around me, and I didn't know, I was nervous, and I was scared, and things were not the way I wanted them to be, or I mean, everything that's not right, when people feel things aren't right, that's exactly where I was. And somehow, in getting into this space with Annie and moving and getting this home started in the mountains in Colorado and being able to go out in those mountains and camp out under the stars with the starlight, I told you about that. I came into a space, or created a space, where things are exactly the way I want them to be. And life is in fact perfect, and there was nothing there that frightens me anymore. There's nothing there that I'm afraid of. There's nothing there that I can't do. There's, you know, like yesterday we were talking about est, or I think that's where we left our conversation. And I think I told you that I can't tell you what est is. And I say that in a way that I can't tell you what that experience was. You know, I can only tell you that I experienced something, and I can tell you what my experiences are since then. I can tell you what my experiences are out of est. And they're totally supportive of me being who I am. I think it's really far out to realize that it's okay to be who you are. Now see, that's another simple
that's
thing
very
that sounds
simple.
like truth
Well,
is
it's very simple.
the way it is. And to say, now come on, it's got to be more than that, you know? But it's, that seems to be the way it is. Oh, you know who that was, I'll bet you. May I?
Call, sure. Learn of it. Become interested.
Well, est is Erhard Seminars Training, and that's what it's called because you can't call an organization in California est. Small letters, the Latin term for it is. But you can call something Erhard Seminars Training, and the guy who came up with est or put it together, his name happens to be Werner Erhard, so Erhard Seminars Training is a nice way to say what est is. Est started in San Francisco with Werner and about 35 people, and it started with Werner. See, he really put a lot of things together, which I think are things that, like I've been talking about, and he's He's a few years older than I am, and it comes from a little bit different background and was operating in a little bit different area, which was mostly motivation and stuff. And he's a very disciplined mind, very analyzing mind, and he got into a lot of disciplines, and it seems to me took what worked out of this one and what worked out of that one, and all the stuff that didn't work he threw away, and then he put it all together and came up with something that works really very, very efficiently. Had to do with people's lives, which is an experience. And so started in San Francisco, and then they had one training, and then they had another training in San Francisco, then they had one in Los Angeles, and then some people who live in Aspen and who also live in San Francisco took the training, and then they brought the training to Aspen. And what has happened with the S that's really interesting to see is that S is the total experience of the graduates. There's been no advertising about S. A lot of people don't know what it is or even that it is. But people who have taken the training and whose experience of it is that it works then say, wow, man, I want to share this far-out thing with my friends, and I can't tell them about it, so what I've got to do is get stuff together so I can have a training here where all my friends are. And then they go to Aspen and they tell a bunch of people about it and get it together, and then Werner or somebody will come do a guest seminar and kind of talk about it, which is real interesting because I don't think you can talk about it. But people, you know, graduates will share some things that happened with them, and Werner will tell you some things and give you kind of his views on the game that we're all playing, this game of life, and some things about it. And by Jove, some people get to see. The first time I was, the first time Werner came to Aspen before he did the first training there, I walked out. Thought it was total bullshit, a rip-off, pushed all my buttons, man, and I walked out. Annie and I left, you see. And then they had a training in Aspen, and some people that I'd seen there, you know, there was something different. Something had happened, you know. And I don't know that it was good or bad, wrong or right, or any of those things, but something happened, you see? And I was really in this space of looking, really, really looking. See, I was 28 now. This is, in fact, a lot of people thought, people who have taken the training thought that I wrote the Rocky Mountain High album or did it after the training, you know. And the truth is that I had finished the album and in fact, final okayed everything, and it was released in June that year, and it was the end of June or early July that I took the training. But the thing is, I saw that something had happened, and so then they were going to have another training. Enough had happened so that they were going to have a second training, and I was going to be there at that time, and I was just very interested, and so I took the training. And I really think that I took the training in a perfect space because I wasn't expecting anything from it. And I wasn't there to put it down or to make it wrong, to prove that it wasn't going to work for me. I just wanted to go find out what happens, you see. And EST really clarified a lot of notions. You know, a lot of the things that Werner and the other people involved in it on the staff level, things that they said and experiences that were shared by people taking the training, and things that I had to say, getting up and talking in front of people, wanting to communicate something to Werner, you know, which they give you the total space to talk, to share what's going on for you. And I realized a lot of notions. Now, see, realize, I love words. Words are really far out to me, and realize, to make real, to experience. Est opened up the space for me to experience some things that I had just thought before, or believed before, or had hoped before. All of which are terms that don't mean anything, you know. Your experience, though, that's something that's really tangible.
Yeah.
You see?
Is it, I don't know if this would mean anything, did it just alter your perceptions, for example, or change the perceptions of different things?
I think it enhanced my awareness.
Yeah.
It opened up or through some tools that I found in the S training, and I say tools because it's like transcendental meditation. Meditation is a tool, I think, or that's my experience of it, as is yoga is a tool to accomplish a certain thing. All the different kinds of yoga accomplish different things, and they're all toward, I think, a main objective of being centered within yourself. Jogging is a tool. Learning how to talk is a tool to be able to communicate with people. There were some tools presented there that opened up, increased my awareness. Tools that were presented that allowed me to really take a look at me, things that I can use every day, and in fact have used to the extent that they've become a part of my living process, that clarify, allow me to notice, what's happening and to experience what's happening. For instance, I find that people get stuck, like we were talking yesterday and talking about music, and today about, finding out what works, You got something that's working for you, man, go with that, you see? You got something that's not working, and there are 8 million signs that you get that it's not working, then either alter it to make it work, or get out of it.
Change it or leave it.
Change it or leave it.
So many times, and it's simple.
It's simple, man. It's simple. But what you have to do, you see, but what people do is they got something that's not working, but they can't believe that it's not working, and they certainly can't let anybody else think that it's not working. So I got to stay here, man, and keep telling people. And I know that, man, it's it's like they feel wrong, It's like, for instance, if you, let's say you put a lot of time and energy to getting to something, and people do this, and I've done this. I took a lot of time and energy to get to a point to find out that this particular thing was not working, see? And I really, it takes whatever time it takes to know that it's working or that it's not working. But when you get to a point where you can really see, where you can really know and really experience that it's not working, change it or leave it. See? Change it or leave it. So, I got off the track there. How did we start? It was change or leave it. But so people get stuck, and they stay stuck. They stay here. They've got to prove that they were right. Can't let anybody. I know I'm not wrong. I know, and what happens is they're trying to define it and stuff like that instead of noticing the way it is. They say, well, I lost that job because the guy is a real schmuck, and he doesn't know for me, and he doesn't care about me, and he doesn't like me, and and he doesn't know what good art is, and so he doesn't want any of my paintings. Now that's what people say, as opposed to noticing that they're doing something here that nobody is getting off on, including themselves. See? Just look at the way it is. The truth is the way it is. And then if you don't put all this bullshit on it, if you don't put all of this analyzation on it, or all of these becauses, or all of these reasons, you can just let it be the way it is. And if it's not working, change it. Go over there. Do something else. Leave it. Leave it. Leave it. Now, people can't leave things also. They get so attached to things that, it's like like cars. You get a new car and you get a first dent in your car, and God, you do everything you can to keep that car from getting dented for a long, long time. You know, if the car is important to you. Some people, it's a stereo or a memento or whatever it is, you know, or a feeling or a person or a relationship, and you can't let it go. You know, like in regard to this album, I'm talking about liberty earlier, and this is something that I've experienced, and one thing that changed through my experience of est, you see, is it would be hard to let it go. You know, there comes a point, like, and I'm not sure, maybe in regards to doing a story, where you keep looking at it and you go and you go and you go and stuff like that, but pretty soon, if you're a professional, if you're making a living over here and you've got to turn this article in, you have to let it go, all right? And then you can let it go physically here and never let it go here, right? God, man, I know it's a shitty article and I could have been better if I just said this way or that way. Well, you said what you said, and it's good or it's bad, and whatever it is, you know, let it go.
It's done.
It's done. And if you're still stuck in that article that you can't do anything about anymore, then you can't go anywhere else.
Sounds like worrying about your first album.
Exactly. See, on this album that Liberty did, they're in there and they're concerned about so many little things, and it was getting down to having that particular note come out on the break. I want to push that note. Or I want to be sure we got to duck that bad note over here. Or I want a little bit more of Jan's voice opposed to her, you know, that kind of stuff. None of which has anything to do with the record.
Right.
None of which has anything to do with the music. That's all personal opinion, reasons for, see, like you create a lot of reasons for people for it to be, if it's going to be wrong, it's not your fault. See, I kept coming in there and trying, or they kept coming here and saying, well, you got to change that, and I said, no, we can't change that because the record's there, and let's go on to the next thing. They say, all right, damn it, to the left. See, so now it's my fault if it doesn't work, you see, and there's a concern there about whether it's going to work or not, you see, both of which has nothing to do with the music. See, get into a space where you can hear the music. So they were finding it very difficult to let the album go, you see. And that's where it takes a producer or somebody who's had the experience, who can say, or who can look through the spaces that they're stuck in regard to this, and can say, no, it's there, you guys, believe me. Here, I'll take it now, you know, and you guys go on from here. And so that's that's a real interesting little thing to me that I can observe all the time. And I have experienced that now, and I've also found out now and realized now that I can let things go. In fact, they don't hang on hardly at all. You know, things come and they go. The day comes and goes. Every instant of every day you can get caught up in worrying about, you know, everything that could go wrong in this interview, let's say. I could really spend a lot of energy worrying about this interview. You know, there's a time when I was paranoid. I mean, a couple years ago, I was worried about this interview that we're doing right now, and how it was going to be, and how I was going to be able to handle it, if I was going to be able to articulate what I wanted to, what I had to say, what I felt, what my experience is. And then I was incredibly paranoid about, you know, how it was going to be treated, you know, from the guy who was interviewing me, or then from the paper, whatever, stuff like that. And then, having done the interview, or an interview, or something like that, that I could be incredibly worried about, you know, God, what did I say, you know? Or how does it come out of, gee, I don't think he liked me, or what are people going to think? And then it comes out, and you read some things that you said, and God, I didn't say that. I know I didn't say that. Or did I say that? You know, gee, that's pretty good. I like that. Well, man, that wasn't so bad after all. You know, all these kind of things, all of which is being stuck here in this interview, which is happening now. It's not going to be happening tomorrow. It wasn't happening 2 weeks ago. And I find that today, and like yesterday, I had a really good time at the interview. You know, I had a really good time, and I talked, and I said everything I wanted to say. I wasn't aware of holding anything back. Didn't feel guarded about anything. Didn't feel paranoid when you left, Chet. And thank you for that, by the way. But you left, and I think that's good. And I went on to the rest of the stuff that I had to do that day. You see? Now that is such a great space to be in, man. Because I really have experienced going weeks worrying about that over there. You know, when I was in high school, I used to, I'd have a fight with my girlfriend, and I would not talk to her or anybody for a month. For a month. You know, because of some little thing that happened over here. My feeling had gotten hurt, you see? And I was going to make sure that everybody knew it, man. And I wasn't going to talk to anybody, and I didn't want to have anything to do, and I was going to lay around the house.
Let's be a martyr.
Isn't that the truth, you see? Well, that was a great experience for me because I did it enough times to find out that it really wasn't fucking working. You know what I mean? Wasn't working. So I don't do that anymore. And I find out that, man, life is moving incredibly. Just incredibly. Now, some other things in regard to that, it seems to me, and it's just like having spring come around, you know, every year. There's no, in the human system, seems to me, there's no right there as far as everything goes except the center, which is always, the center is right there. If you ever get in touch with the center, that's always there. But life around it goes up and down, is good and bad, good, bad, good, bad, good, bad, Harry Nielsen says. Sometimes you're high, sometimes you're low, sometimes you're happy, sometimes you're sad, blah, 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 you know. That's the way life is, you see? And I have found that you can stick yourself in any of those places, you know, and in a way which disallows you to experience what is really so, you know, and that if you can stick yourself in the center, then you experience everything. Everything. I have a brand new song that I think might be the best song I've ever written, and it's growing on me. I love singing it, and it says, on the road of experience, I'm trying to find my own way. Sometimes I wish that I could fly away. When I think that I'm moving, suddenly things stand still, and I'm afraid because I think they always will. And I'm looking for space to find out who I am, and I'm looking to know and understand. And it's a sweet, sweet dream, and sometimes I'm almost there, and sometimes I fly like an eagle, and sometimes I'm deep in despair. There's another verse, and you repeat the chorus, and the last verse says, on the road of experience, join in the living day, the Cheruboles. or, you know, like, see, I sometimes, man, I'm so high. Today I'm so high that I'm flying out there someplace. I'm flying right in here, you know. I really feel alive today, you know. Sometimes I feel really terrible, you know. Sometimes, I mean, I know the feeling of despair, and I also know that you can get through that. If you let it be the way it is, you can get through it. If you keep trying to prove to people or show people that, no, I don't feel bad right now, you know, that's not, then you get stuck in it. You know what I mean? Yeah. But just like, man, winter, cold, cruddy, lasts a long time here in Minnesota. Got to be too long for me, and that's a part of why I left it. And that's nonsense, because I left it because I left it. See, and the cold is just a reason that I can say, why'd you leave Minnesota? Well, I left it because it's too cold, you see. And why did you move to Colorado? Well, I moved to Colorado because of the mountains. Or, you know, that's all nonsense. That's all things, and it's great to play in nonsense, as long as you know that that's what you're doing, you see. The game is the most incredible, imaginative, far out, exciting game in the world. You know what I'm real interested in today? Today, in this period of time, is our society's interest in games. You know, how incredibly bored we are. Have you noticed that?
Virtually every magazine has a game in it.
Yeah, TV is full of game shows. How much energy and time and money
Contest.
and nonsense do we spend on
Being amused.
football games, you know? And how incredible has our boredom gotten that we want to go see disasters to be entertained. Now that's interesting to me, see? That's real interesting to me. Now I saw Earthquake when I was in Los Angeles. I really enjoyed it. And last night I saw The Great Waldo Pepper, and I loved that movie. I thought that was great. And I write a lot of songs, which some people say are escapes, and that's great too. But I don't have much time for games, because I'm really hung up in the big game. As Steve Martin would say it that way, I think. You know Steve Martin? Funniest man in the world. He's a good friend. I think he's the funniest man in the world. But there's this far-out game that we're playing. Hasn't got any rules hardly at all. And in fact, the only rule that I can think of is that if you jump out the window, you're going to fall down.
Yeah, you'll lose. You'll lose there. Yeah.
Well, no, I didn't say that. Don't lose, but you will fall down. I very rarely see people fall up, or things fall up. But anyway, see, so you have all these things in the game, and it's great to play the game and all this kind of stuff, as long as you know and come from a space of experiencing the truth. See? And when you're telling the truth, which is maybe to everybody or maybe to just yourself, you really have the space to play the whole game any way you want to, and you're always a winner. People are winners. You know, some people's idea of a good time is getting drunk and throwing up. See? Oh, that's great, man. They're winning at their game. That's what they want to do. I love that. Go out, get drunk, have a good time, disrupt the show, whatever. And some people's idea of a good time is fighting with their old lady. Fight. Some people's good time idea of a good time is go out and get beat up. That's an interesting game. See, and that's far out, man. I don't think any of those games are wrong. And I don't think any of them are right. I just observe that those are the games that some people are playing. And I have this game that I'm playing. And it pleases me to share this game with people. No?
What you were saying about the cherry-bowies.
Where does that come from?
I don't know.
Life is just a bowl of cherries, but there's one of those things like the furry with a syringe on top.
Oh.
Isn't that the Martian? Oh, he's the furry with a syringe on top. So cherry-bowies. Excuse me.
No, but I don't know how it affects you in every article or every critique you see called Pollyanna or Mr. Sunshine or
The Mickey Mouse of rock or pop, whatever it is. Yeah. I sometimes get upset by reviews. I think it's one of my weaknesses. One of the things I haven't quite gotten through yet. And I got so stuck in getting concerned about what people said or how they misinterpreted me or how they put themselves in front of the interview, you know, the way, or got in the way of the interview, you know, I talk about getting in the way of the music, that I quit doing interviews for a long, long time, you see. And I found out that didn't really further my purposes. And so I'm doing interviews again, and I'm anxious to find out. I don't mind that they call me the Mickey Mouse of rock. I don't mind that they call me Pollyanna or any of that stuff. And I'm interested to find out if I mind or not whether somebody gets in the way of the interview. You know, I think that is the thing that irritates me, is people not putting down what was said, or if they do put down what was said, they qualify it from their point of view. You know, people who used to write, who would review a concert, and out of 18,000 people, one guy would write a review, and I know that 17,999 people did not feel, were at a different concert than that guy was at. You know? But, see, that's the concert that he was at. I resent it, or used to resent it, and maybe I still do. This is one of the things that I'm trying to get through, that I need to get through. That people quite often, critics and reviewers quite often editorialize as opposed to review, be it an album or whatever it is. You see, I think it would be very easy, and not very easy, I think it'd be it's a really kind of fine art to share with people who weren't there what happened. You see, I think that it could be really far out to tell people, you know, from an educated point of view, what's good and bad about an album. You know, that it's the very muddy mixes, the sloppy playing, they are not together, the guitar is out of tune on that track, and it doesn't seem very professional the way it was put together, and the guy sings like a schmuck. Or there's some beautiful singing of some songs that just don't do anything to me, you know, to me. You know, not beautiful singing of some songs that don't mean anything, which is that's what they seem to say most often. And I would see if they just said, now this is how I felt, as opposed to saying this is the way it was. See, because I feel that I've gotten some of the worst reviews of concerts and albums that I've read, you know, and I don't read all the reviews that I see in the trades and stuff like that, or in Rolling Stone. I read the reviews about the albums that I've either listened to myself or I'm interested in hearing, you know. And so that's something that has bothered me a lot in the past. That's some of the things that I would get stuck, and to the point of, I think, being afraid to do an interview is probably where I was, you know, not risk it. And also, see, I felt that I don't know how much you can communicate through the printed media as far as the facts go, when people are putting more down than the facts. You see, I don't think that people can experience me through this interview. You can experience me, Chet, I think, and hopefully are, and I think you are, and you might be able to define that in a way, symbolize that in a way through the things that are at your command, where you can give people a sense of who I am.
I think it will show a lot of people because it will be in your own words. Which
Well, yeah,
people
yeah.
want.
Uh-huh. That's great.
That's the best way to tell things.
Exactly. But and it helps me see if people hear things here or hear or hear things on the album or see things on television, and television so far is the most promising media that I've experienced, because I don't think you can lie to that camera. I don't think you can fool it. I think no, I just don't think that you can fool it.
Oh, but when you did the Tonight thing, would you think that is a possibility in the future to do that kind of role, be a talk show host? Because you seem
No.
really relaxed.
I really enjoyed doing it, Chet, and there's another really efficient operation there. I get off, I think I mentioned that earlier, like in regard to Francisco, really efficient. Boy, he's got all his stuff together to do what he wants to do, and the people there to help him do it, and he is being what he is, and he's not allowing too much stuff to get in the way of that, was my experience of it. And that Tonight Show, boy, those people got it together. And I don't have any desire at all to do that more than once in a while.
Didn't see you had Jill St. John.
On the first show.
Yeah. Mark Spitz.
Yes, on the first show.
People
See, I
either
thought-
have to rescue or suppress, or it's a very delicate art to be a host. Some people cannot talk, and you have to bring it down when they're holding back.
Well, see, I thought that I got to that point in the last one that we did, and I don't think I was to that point in the ones before, and certainly not the first one. The first one I was really sitting there and finding out what they wanted to talk about, and then talking about that, and I didn't do much more than that. And then but I think that I grew in all of them, and the last one I was very comfortable. I got out and was comfortable and didn't even use those. I glanced at them, but I think that in a couple of the interviews, if that's what they were, I didn't use that at all. I talked about things that I was interested in talking about with them. And so that was great, and I think that that's where I will be from now on in regard to doing that particular show or that kind of show. But
You read the specials?
yes, see, there's a big interest in me, and I wanted to get back to one thing in regard to reviews and interviews. I'm interested in finding out. See, I just started doing interviews and phone interviews and stuff like that when we started doing this last television special, and so I haven't seen any of them yet or experienced them after the fact. I've really been able to let them all go, and I let it go yesterday, and I think it's going to be the same way today, and I feel very good about that. So I want to find out how much else pops up, and I want to acknowledge to you and to whoever's listening or reading that that's one of the things that I get stuck in. That interviews have bothered me in the past, and that I feel that I have been misrepresented, or that perhaps I've misrepresented myself. And it's not my intention to do that or to allow that to happen. You see, I really want people to know me so that their preconceptions or judgments or whatever will not get in the way of the music. See? They know me, the truth about me. If they can read my words and everything like that, get whatever they get out of that, then they can get whatever they get out of the music. See? So, television is really interesting to me, and we're getting a lot of pressure to do a weekly show, which I don't want to do right now.
Weekly shows have killed a lot of people.
I think they have too. Yeah. That's not the consideration that I have. It's just that it takes so damn much time, and it's hard. I think it's hard to keep up the quality weekly. The only time I ever saw it happen was in some television long time ago, before it got so cluttered with stuff, I thought there was some pretty good television. I think the Smothers Brothers, second season they were on the air, had just the finest television show I've ever seen. You know, it was continually entertaining and awakening and informative and funny. I thought they were great. And I haven't seen their new show yet, so I don't know how that is. But, see, doing specials, first of all, it gives me a lot more time to do that and to set it up to do it the way I think it should be. Plus, I have the time to do other things, you see. And like right now, while I still, you know, I've got all these ideas going on, all these things that I want to do, and I have the opportunity of really maybe carrying them off, you know. I have this tour, the spring tour, which I'm really, really excited about. And then I have this movie that we're going to make in Alaska. And I have the world tour in October. We're going to have a Christmas special next year, maybe from Aspen, hopefully from someplace in the mountains, not in L.A. And, you know, and then an album to do this summer. I'm about ready to do another album. And then there's some records that I'd like to produce. Plus, like I said before, I need to have some time at home. I need it for me. I need it for me in regard to me and Annie. I need it for me in regard to me and my little boy. I need it for me in regard to me and the universe. So I need to have that time there, you know, I have to. And so doing all of these things now, while there's so much energy going on, and I feel so much energy in me to do all of this, and to be able to set it up that way, I don't want to get caught up or stop doing a television show every week. You know, I think that I would not enjoy television because that's not the center of my intention right now. You see, that's one of several things. And as specials, I can do it that way. Also, in the specials, I have a lot more opportunity of bringing in things like the Jacques Cousteau thing. I loved it. See, we wanted to do that on the first show, and we wanted to do it again on the second show, and we weren't able to set it up until we did this one. But I loved it. See, now that was an aspect of variety television that has not been on variety television before, I don't think. You see? And Captain Cousteau wanted to do it because with that special, I reach a heck of a lot more people than he's reached with his documentaries. You know? Now that's funny to me, because I'm a lot more interested in his documentaries than I am in variety television shows. But that's the way it is. So I could introduce people to Captain Cousteau in a kind of different way than he's going to see, and that supports both of our purposes, that's really far out. See, that's what gets to be exciting about working with other people, is find somebody else, you know, who has their thing and you have other thing, and then see how you can enhance those two by what you do together. That furthers both of your purposes, allows you both to grow. That's what a good relationship is, it seems to me. So that was really exciting, and I would like to do more of that. And then one of these days, like, I don't think I'm going to want to do, see, I have a feeling that this might be the last concert tour that I do.
Really?
Yeah. And I don't know why I feel that way. And I think it's just that I feel it's going to be the last one that I'm going to do like this, in really big halls, a really full schedule, and carrying along an orchestra and film and everything, you know. One of the things that I want to do is I want to write, and I'm working on, an American symphony. That's about the only way to say it. I'm involved, and it's something I'm kind of excited about right now that I think would be of interest to you, is I'm involved with the Centennial Bicentennial Commission in Colorado. And I want to get involved with this Bicentennial Commission on a national level. And the reason that I want to get involved is because my sense of it so far is that it's a whole bunch of bureaucratic bullshit that's going on. It's parades and banners and firecrackers and politicians blowing their horn about how good and how great we are, you see. And what I would like to do, and what I am doing in Colorado, and hopefully to expand on a national level, is to get through to young people, elementary school, junior high and high school people, and to open up the space for them to take a look and to do it in a way that they, that they get interested in it, in looking at who we are, how we came, who came from where to this little place here on this river and built a town, and how did it start, and how did it get to be this, and where does it look like this is going, and how would I like it to be? You see, I'd like to get high school kids. I'd like to get a big thing going. See, like what I want to do is have and do it through public schools. See, and the thing about it is that it's not going to cost any money, and we're spending millions and millions of dollars on stuff for this bicentennial. Some of which I think is far out, and some of which I think is a total waste. But what I want to do is get young people involved, like planting flowers and stuff down there, cleaning up the streets, in a city like this. Take a bunch of elementary school kids and take them out on a Saturday and clean up a park or something, or plant some flowers. Get some high school kids in shop to build flower boxes and something that they can put on the streets everywhere. Get kids in Colorado to go out and scatter wildflower seeds. Get them to go out and visit historical sites here. Have them go see what Fort Snelling is. Why is that a historical site? What happened there? What did they do? And come back and for little kids draw paintings of it, or talk about it in class, and find out for themselves. See, I think that we, the United States, are a really unique thing in the history of the world. And I would like very much to learn and to share, what my feelings are about who we are, where we come from, and then get like high school kids to write about, have them look at the history, have them look at where we are now, and then have them write down what they would like it to be like when they are the businessmen. What they would like it to be in the year 2000 when they have their kids out playing. Are they going to be playing on concrete like that down there because that's all there is? Or is there still going to be a park right there? And is it going to be a park like that in the middle of town with traffic going by? Or are they going to be able to go out in the woods and know that? I'd like to know what young, because see, I think we got really hip young people today. They know so much more than I did when I was a little kid, just through watching television. It's like in the world, I think an interesting thing that's going on is that there's such an increased awareness of people about who they are. This big economy transfer to the Far East, those people, I bet you, in 3 or 4 or 5 years are going to be technologically right up beside the United States because they have more money than they know what to do with. And they're building, right now, they're spending that to build apartments for all those poor people who've been living in ghettos surrounding those cities in the East. They're putting them into apartment buildings, and they're building universities, and they're providing schools for their young people and stuff like that. And they're getting those people who are capable and responsible or old enough to be able to teach. And in 4 or 5 years, they're going to be right beside us, plus they're going to have all the money in the world. You see? Now then, what's going to happen, and what happens with some guy over there, like Captain Cousteau and I were talking about on that island at Glover Reef, how do you tell this guy? He's got nothing else to do but to feed. He's got to feed his family. And his family is growing all the time because he doesn't know how to stop that. And some people, are stuck in something about population, seems to me, in regard to having a child. And that, how do you tell those people over there who have been living their whole life scratching for food, and the women whose breasts are empty and can't feed their infants, and then they see on a television set that they have now American farmers here in Minnesota shooting calves? Right. Something's going to happen out of that, I think something's going to happen out of that. So I'd like to find out what young people think, what they're looking for. And I think if we can open up the space for them to really share that with us, that might help us direct the way we want to go, you see. So I'm really excited about doing it. I want to do an American symphony with Lee Holdridge and incorporate all the elements of music that I'm aware of that have come down from our history, starting with folk music and folking dances and stuff like that, to the song, the blues and the sounds of people working on plantations, to the jazz coming out of New Orleans, to what happened when it moved north and got into Chicago and that kind of blues and everything, to cowboy music, to country and western, to rock and roll, to the Beatles when they came over, to today, and do it in a way that incorporates the whole area of music and dance and a symphony orchestra, and then go around the country and perform it with symphonies around the country, which would disallow doing 18,000 seat halls over here, you see. And then someday maybe I can go out with just me and my guitar and sing for people again, or my guitar and a bass, or maybe just the little band without all of the trappings, you see. I don't know, but as I say, I have this sense that this might be the last concert tour that I do here, and that I'm excited about going around the world and going and doing that music over there, and maybe it's just that I'll be doing more television here and more concerts over there, you see. When I get through this year, now I know what I want to do this year, and we're already starting all of that, and it's all happening. We've got everything working, and we're taking care of all the details, and it's going to work. And then maybe next year or 2 years from now, maybe I would like to do more television, and maybe I would like to do weekly television, or maybe I would like to do it in the sense of like every 3 weeks or every 4 weeks do a show. See, and then when I do that, maybe that's all that I want to do, and the rest of the time I'll spend at home. See, yeah, I think so. There's a lot of other things that I want to do, man. I want to go see the world. I want to take Zachary fishing. You know, I want to do that so bad. That little guy, I can just see him too. And I want to go up in the mountains more. I want to get inside myself more.
All of which takes time.
All of which takes time, and it's going to take whatever time it takes. And I'm working on all of those things, you know. And at the same time, in working within all of these things, I feel like I'm moving. I feel like I'm growing as a person, as a human being. And I feel that I have a lot to share with people. And that I can open up the space for them to share a lot with me. And that interaction will bring more music, will bring more life, see? And that's exciting to me. Life is just very, very exciting to me.
Who do you like to listen to when all you want to do is listen to music?
My current favorite album is Linda Ronstadt's Heart Like a Wheel. I think that's one of the best albums I've heard in a long time. Boy, I like that. Really ticks me off, too. I like Stevie Wonder. I like Stevie Wonder. In fact, I couldn't believe how excited I was at meeting him at the American Music Awards. You know, I was more excited about meeting him than I was meeting Paul Newman last night. And actually, I don't know that that's true. I was pretty excited about meeting both of them. But I really admire Stevie a whole lot. I think he's just about the best around right now. I mean, in my opinion, for what I'm listening for, both in the words and the music, he's someplace up there. And I think, you know, what's interesting to me, and is that I think Stevie and I are saying some of the same things. We say them differently, and we certainly come from different places, but I think that we're saying some of the same things.
In that both of you are concerned with conveying your feelings, say, to an audience.
Well,
maybe.
for sure, but even more specifically in some of those feelings that we're conveying, you know. They say that heaven is 10 zillion light years away, you know. Why can't they say that hate is 10 zillion light years away? Well, see, I love the question in that song, and I know that Stevie knows the answer to it, and it's not a question, and it's rhetorical anyway. Heaven or hate is right here. It's, you know, what you make it. What you make it. See, and I know that. And that's one of the things that I'm trying to say. I'm trying to talk to people about what is here. You see. I used to listen to Harry Nilsson. Harry, I thought, is one of the best singers I've ever heard. Ever heard. And the last couple of albums haven't done much for me, and I'm anxious to hear his new one. I like Harry a lot. I like mostly acoustic people. You know, I really don't enjoy rock that much. You know, I don't listen at all to things like Led Zeppelin and stuff like that.
No, I don't do that.
And I do listen sometimes to the Eagles or to Band on the Run, Paul McCartney, things like that. But mostly I listen to acoustic music. I'm really excited. I understand Judy Collins has a new album coming out. I'm excited to hear that. There's a girl whose name is Emmylou Harris.
Oh, well, it was a good Grand Parsons.
Yeah.
Really good,
Yeah, I think she's really good.
yeah.
And not maybe now.
Well, yeah, that's my thinking would be.
Yeah, that's certainly
maybe-
how I feel, and I'm anxious to see what happens with that. I'm anxious to listen to Dylan's new album. I haven't heard it
I
yet.
think it's tremendous.
Oh, I'm sure it is. He's another guy that freaks me out. And I don't know. Like an interesting thing that I find in myself, especially the kind of music that I do, you know, the people that I play with, they spend a lot of time jamming and stuff like that, you know. And I somehow have gotten out of that, haven't done that in a while, and mostly I'm interested in getting this music that's coming through me right. That's the music that I do. And like when I'm on the road doing that music every night, then during the days I don't listen to music. During the days I want to go walk or lay around the room or whatever. Or go fly.
Did you ever meet Dylan back in the
No, I never have.
60s?
Like to.
Yeah.
There's a few people out there that I'd like to meet. You know, quite a few people that I'd like to meet and really sit down and talk to. Some of the far out people, like I mentioned Steve Martin a while ago. I think he's great. I really want to work with him. I would like to work with him in television, and I hope to pull that off. I am really turned on by Jacques Cousteau. He's far out old dude, boy. I just really got off on him. I'm really freaked out, impressed, and respectful of Werner Erhard, for one. I really enjoy every time that I get together with Werner, the time that I spend with him. I always learn something. I always am able to share something new with him, and I feel good being with him. Dick Gregory is a friend that I get to see once in a blue moon, you know. But whenever I get together with him, I just sit and listen. You know. I'm really enjoying and have enjoyed a great deal the past few, doing these television shows, meeting Lily Tomlin, spending some time with her. Don't know that I got to know her, but I sure got off working with her, and I think she's great. I really enjoyed working with Dick Van Dyke and Doris Day. Doris is a real good friend now. And Dick, I saw when I was in Los Angeles, but I think he's great. I really got off on working with Danny Kaye. Learned an awful lot from that man. I have some friends in Aspen who I learned from. Some new groups like Liberty. I spoke about Liberty. I really like their music. They're just really, really musical. I think I mentioned that, and they're doing nice songs, and they're all kind of brand new. They're doing them their own way, and there's a couple of great singers in the group, and they have their own sound. And I'm just really excited about being a part of sharing that with a lot of people, because I think people are going to get off in their music. There's a group in Aspen called Homebrew that I would like to also get on our label, and it doesn't make any difference that hasn't happened yet, because somebody's going to record it. You know, I'd love to do it, but somebody's going to, and I think they have some good music to share. I'm excited about going on this tour, you know, right now. I'm excited about going around the world and meeting people over there and getting to sing for them, you know. I'm excited about the Winter Olympics next year. I'm excited about this. See, there's so many ideas, man, and you get caught up in them, and I don't know if we're going to pull all of them off or to what degree we are, but and I don't really worry about that. It's exciting enough to be involved in it and setting it up and taking care of the details, and it'll get here when it gets here, you know. So.
Oh, I heard that you and Alice Cooper had been in correspondence.
No,
That
Alice.
was one of the trades or something.
Oh, really? No. I made some remark sometime, evidently in a review, that came out like I was bad-mouthing Alice, and he wasn't worth anything, and he's not going to last, and I'm going to last. You see? I don't think that's what I said. I think that what I said is that what he's doing and the form of his entertainment is built around a certain kind of appeal or state of mind that is, I think, a fad right now, and that is not going to last. That's going to go the way of psychedelic rock and go the way of what do they call the songs in the 60s when you know, the protest songs.
Protest.
Go the way of songs and all of that kind of stuff. I think that will pass. And in relation to that, I don't think that I'm doing anything differently than I've been doing for the last 11 years. And I'm going to go on doing it this way, and I think that there will be for it this way, or for this music, as long as I'm around to sing it. And I'm going to sing it as long as there's an audience that wants to hear it, you see. So something like that. So then there was an article in, and I think it was in Rolling Stone, as a matter of fact, where Alice said that he was going to make damn sure that he stayed around long enough to piss on my flowers. So I sent him some flowers.
Well, that's funny, because I'm sure he got the message that you were implying that here are the flowers, now his career's over, he can just give up. And,
Well, no, that was not it at all. I just sent him some flowers. See? I'm sure he's going to have, hasn't he got a big tour coming up?
Yeah.
Welcome to My Nightmare or something? So, but see, also, my sense of Alice, and I haven't met him, you know, and I've never seen a show, so it's dumb of me to even be talking about him. I shouldn't. And I hear that he is, he's wafting around in Gucci loafers and no socks and stuff like that. Mr. Showbiz. Well, I think that he has changed.
Sure. No
you
more
see?
fangs, no more.
Yeah. All right. Well, then, so people can judge that as they will, and judgment doesn't mean anything, nor does comparing.
Right.
You know, it's no use comparing. So, all of that was nonsense, and I shouldn't get caught up in talking about people or anything like that. But I really enjoyed reading that article, and then I sent him some flowers. It's great, Alice. Use them as you will.
That brings to mind a different thing, that back when so-called psychedelic rock was the rage and San Francisco sound and everything, did you ever feel kind of neglected? I mean, that everyone was jumping on this psychedelic bandwagon, but you were still trying to pursue what you wanted to pursue, and there was not as much interest.
Well, yeah.
That, you know.
See, there was a time in the Mitchell Trio when Joe Frazier got tired of the Mitchell Trio, I think, and he couldn't say, or wasn't in the space into being able to say that, I don't want to do this anymore, you guys, so I'm going to quit and go over here and you go do what you want to do, because he wanted to get into more rock things and stuff like that, whereas Mike and I were really happy doing what we were doing and the way we were doing it, and I certainly liked the acoustic music, you see. And so the way he did that was to stop showing up for rehearsals and being late, and start being late for concerts, and in fact missing one. You see, so then we had to take the action to get rid of him. That's just another analogy to some things we talked about earlier. So and then Mike Taylor left. I mean Mike Koblich left, and then it was Denver, Boyce, and Johnson. I think I mentioned that yesterday. And I thought we were really, really good. And it was during the time that we were doing that people started really spending all the money in the world getting new, far-out acts. Yeah. And Warner Brothers, who had just gotten Jimi Hendrix and people like that, man, were not interested in Denver, Boyce, and Johnson ties and coats and folk music, you know? And that was frustrating, because I thought then, as I do now, that there was value in the music that we were doing, and that I got off on the music I was doing. And I felt that I was growing within that music, and that the growth did not necessitate me changing to an electric guitar or something, you see? So that was frustrating, but it was also a great experience to share with people, you know, that, you know, music goes here and it goes there and it goes there and stuff like that, you know. And where there's music, it will come through, I think. And so during all that time, as hard as some of it was, as frustrating as some of it was, I kept doing my music. You know, that's, see, people get caught up in sharing. I think you're losing the game if you go play somebody else's rules, you see. If I had tried to be a rock and roll star, or a part of a Beatles-like group, or Elton John, or Neil Diamond, or any of those people, I would not be who I am, and none of this would be happening. Nor would they be doing what they're doing. I mean, would they be in their level of success, or have the audience that they have if they were trying to be me? You see, you do what you do, and I'll do what I do. Then within that framework, he needs to take responsibility. Okay, now this works for me. This is how I get off on this. I like the guitar. I like that sound. You know, I like playing, and I like being able to play my guitar and sing and not need a microphone, you know, which unfortunately is not the case in arenas, but I like that, you see. But that's just me, you know, and it doesn't make them wrong, nor does the success of their music make me wrong. That's cause of some another kind of music, which is in words and writing it down for people. There's room for all of it, man, and there's people out there who are hungry for all of it.
But there's still a holdover from the psychedelic days of labeling, you know, because that was when you want to split this here so I get.
No, that's all right.
Deciding that certain acts or singers were hip and certain others were not, therefore certain singers would not be heard on FM stations, you know, which I think has happened to you in a lot of cases. that some
Thank you for saying
program
that, Chet.
directors- No, it's true. You know,
Yeah,
it is true.
I think so. And I also think that we're kind of getting through that. The latest example of that, to me, strangely enough, see, like, I hear songs now on MOR stations that 5 years ago would not have been ever heard on an MOR station. 5 years ago, you'd never hear Elton John on an MOR station. You know, 5 years ago, you would never hear Olivia Newton-John on a top 40 station, probably. You know, nor would you hear Charlie Pride on a top 40 station, or Charlie Rich. But now all of these things are happening, you know, and still, you know, like you say, people classify this, classify that, whatever like that. I heard today, and I don't know that this is true, but some station in Chicago is playing my music with cows mooing behind it. Well, I don't know. The sense that I got of it is that it was a top 40 station, programmed probably from outside, so they had to play a top 40 song, but the particular disc jockey gets his rocks off by saying, you know, I don't like this, and blah, 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 so stuff like that behind Annie's song.
That's ridiculous. That's not even, if it were funny, I could maybe understand, but it makes no sense.
Not even funny. Well, that's how I feel. So, but anyway, the interesting thing that happened to me is the big thing going on in country music over the past few weeks with all the award shows.
Yeah.
You ever been to an awards thing at all?
Just the Grammys.
I was at the Grammys once a long time ago, and then I went to these, while we were doing the television show, there were two that I happened to be up for, and I went with them. I took my folks. My dad met Conway Twitty and Loretta Lynn and stuff, got off on it. See, and the reason I wanted to go to the Country Music Awards, I didn't expect to win anything really, because they have a thing about the crossover, people from pop music coming into the country field and doing so very well. And the Nashville people want to kind of protect their own, you know. So I really felt that the voting was going to go that way, and I didn't want to win anything. And if it did, I really wanted to acknowledge to country and western people how much I have learned from them, and how much what I'm doing comes out of my experience of that music. I was raised on country and western music. My dad is the biggest country and western fan in the world, you know. And so I've gotten into a music that's maybe not just country and western, but then that's what was so exciting. I wanted to write a country and western song. And sometime or another. And that's been a thought that's been there for a while. Well, a little over a year and a half ago, I wrote a song called Back Home Again. And just the song and the way it was, it came out, I thought it was a country song, you know. And then I kind of built an album around that, which was not country and western, but which I think showed or could have been looked at as coming out of that music. You know, Grandma's Feather Bed is not folk music, but it's like that, kind of with a country flavor. Thank God I'm a Country Boy, with the fiddles, maybe a little more bluegrass or something. On the Road, I don't know, Matthew, which is one of my favorite songs. I don't know what that is. Annie's song is a love song, that's all. Sweet Surrender is not a country and western song. But so what happened is that song did so well in the country with the country people. A lot of people bought that album and liked the album and kept buying it. And so I was able to share country music through Back Home Again with a lot of people. We sold about 1.5 million copies of that single, plus we've sold about 2.5 million albums, you see? And then it got to be a country and western album of the year. Now
that was country and western album of the year?
Album of the year.
Wow.
Isn't that far out?
That is. I thought it was for the single, but it's for the album.
No, it's for the album. The single was Country Bumpin'. But isn't that great? I mean, that made my year.
Yeah.
It really, really did. It really pleased me. And then I had my mom and dad there, and I could go up and thank those country people. Thank my mom and dad, and Annie was there. See, and the whole album was dedicated to Annie, and so much of our relationship is in that album, you know, who we are with each other, where we are with each other. And that really was very exciting to me.
Country album.
Isn't that far out? I love it. I want to go sing in Nashville. I'd like to go sing at the Grand Ole Opry sometime. Yeah, I'd really like to do
I
that.
think you'd like it.
Oh, I'm sure I would. No doubt in my mind. And I think they would like me and my music, you know. So it's interesting to me that, you know, that little thing was going on about them not wanting to crossover, because what we're doing is sharing with each other. And by somebody from Australia coming over here and doing so well with country and western music is going to bring country and western music to a million people in Australia or wherever else it is, you see. It goes both ways. And that there is all of these things happen. You know, there are new performers who are doing country and western music and some other things. I'm one of those people, you know. If they don't let me do that, or disavow the fact that I am doing that, then pretty soon, one of these days, you know, Charlie Pride and Loretta Lynn and Merle Haggard, you know, who's had done 30 albums, you know, one of these days, there's not going to be any more Merle Haggard albums or Loretta Lynn or somebody, so hopefully they'll have room for somebody else. And the only people I hear about new in country music are Tanya Tucker, Johnny Rodriguez, and Ronnie Millsap and Mickey Gilley. Anybody else new in country music?
Not that big, no. Freddie Fender from Texas.
Haven't heard
He
of
has
it.
a #1 single.
Yeah.
He's like Rodriguez. He sings half Spanish. There's not many, no.
Not many.
That's true.
But boy, for a long, long, long time, there's been Merle Haggard, Loretta Lynn, and you know. And that's not to discredit them, because they're still doing great music, I think. And I love Loretta. Boy, she's such a fox. Feisty and just right straight ahead.
Yeah.
You know, she doesn't hold back nothing from nobody. I like that. My dad met Loretta Lynn. He loved it.
This has nothing to do with any of that, but have you ever thought or considered what, if anything, was the significance or lasting results of the folky era? You know, the supposed liberalism and reform through music and political, you know, cleansing and love and peace, and you know, about the supposed did it do any good? You know, the whole folky movement. Or
Well,
has it occurred to you?
the way that I relate to it, and now the folk era.
And well, you were in a different position mainly because of the satirical material.
Well, but still, we were part of that era, and my relationship with it through the satirical material, and my observation is that what happened through folk music is that people really became socially and politically aware on a large scale, especially young people. You know, during the 50s there were never any demonstrations on campus. During the 60s there were, and I think it came out of people who were making music who were acknowledging their feelings about some things that were going on, which is the history of folk music, I think, you see. And we really experienced that in this country, and I was a part of that. I became socially and politically aware through Joan Baez and Bob Dylan and Peter, Paul and Mary and Tom Paxton and Judy Collins and the Mitchell Trio, you see. And that's what I think happened with folk music. Now, the love and peace thing, I think, was part of the flower music and hippies in San Francisco.
Right.
And I don't see that very much. Well, in a kind of a way, some things came out of that, but I think most of that, when it was there, was kind of contrived, and it didn't last long, and it didn't work that way because it was a contrived thing. But I think that what came out of it now, see, like, I really celebrate going around to places and seeing people who are doing what they want to do and who are pretty easy people, you know. I really enjoy my two friends, and I love is a better, my two, Ray Lear and his lady Jan and John Mayer. who do this kind of work and who would have been called a few years ago freaks,
Yeah.
you know, and they have this beautiful shop right in the middle of downtown Pasadena, and a thriving business going, you know. They're doing what they want to do, and they created their own little area to do it in. You know, they put their shop together the way they wanted, and they were able to find a place, and yet they're working with, not against,
Oh, the banks. And,
the establishment, or however you want to say it. Like Werner says, it's a lot easier to ride the horse in the direction he's going. You know? It's a lot easier. And I think for a while, people were doing that, trying to go the other direction, but people, you know, we learned out of that. We learned that you can make a living doing what you want to do, not going and having to go to college and be in a business. You can do what you want to do if you have a craft or things that you're interested in, and you can make a living. And then we kind of came through that, and we found that we can do it very, very well working with people. You see, that's really far out to me. And so that has happened, you see. And it's interesting. See, you talk about something that really, really happened, had a gigantic impact on our society in rock and roll and in music in general. The Beatles, hair, clothes, thoughts that changed. In folk music, getting really the large mass of people politically aware and socially aware. In the psychedelic and Flower Child San Francisco area of people finding for themselves that they could do what they want to do and live the way they want to live, and it doesn't necessarily threaten the other guy, nor do they threaten me. And we've learned that. And now maybe, perhaps, I can be a part of opening up the space for people to realize that this is a finite world, and that there is a lot of real things here worth celebrating that are open to everybody. That we do have cause to rejoice, and that we can move forward and grow. And if I can be a part of that, that would be very, very pleasing. If I could, I'd like to make, now this is a contradiction of terms, so I won't say it that way. I would like to open up the space for people to make their lives better. Because you make your life better. I can't do it for you. You know, I can share with you how I've made my life better. And maybe through that, you'll...
Anyone else can take what applies to them. If it works, fine.
Yeah,
Sure.
great. But, see, it's trite, I suppose, to some people, and it's not trite to me. I would like to bring some sunshine to people's lives. I'm writing a song, and I don't know that it's a song yet. I wrote this one day, let's see. I had some stuff to do that I'd procrastinated about and really hadn't done it. And Ann and I wanted to go skiing with a bunch of friends. And it was a cruddy day, but we still wanted to go skiing. We had all these plans and everything. And I wanted to go skiing more than I wanted to take care of this business that I had to take care of. So I went to go skiing, and I got up halfway up the mountain, and I knew that I was going to have a cruddy day all day skiing if I didn't take care of the stuff that I needed to take care of, and that, in fact, I wanted to take care of. So I let Annie go and everybody else go, and I went into town and did all the stuff that I was talking about. And in just doing it, you know, this is very... I said, you know what's going to be far out? Because as soon as I made the decision to not do this over here, to take care of what needed to be taken care of, I knew that I was going to be able to get it done and go get some skiing in. And I said, man, you know what's going to happen? The sun's going to come out, you know? And so I'm doing all this kind of work, and then I had to get a couple letters typed. Actually, what it was, I had to write one and then get it typed. And it's sometimes it's tortuous for me to write a letter. I got it done, and I'm walking to the post office, and the sun's coming out. I got on the lift and started going up, And I said to myself that I'm bringing the sun and the thought of a good day, the sound of a wind song and a life full of love. I'm bringing the stars and the dreams of an eagle. I'm bringing a good day. I'm bringing the sun. And this just came out as I'm going up the ski lift and got at the top. By the time I got at the top, it was a perfect day. The skiing was great. I found my friends on the first run. They'd been looking for me. They were all having a good time, and it went straight up from there. You know? Now, isn't that far out? That just blew me away. And that's the way it happened.
In a sense, almost the public image of John Denver is that sort of thing happens.
Yep.
You know, really,
Well, I don't know.
or it seems to me that.
Well, I would love it if that were true, you know, and I think that there is a sense out there of people that, you know, that I have got a good life, and that it doesn't necessarily have to do with all the stuff in my life, you know, the success, the money, all of that, but that I've got a good life. I'm living a good life, and if it's more specific than that, if it's like what you just said, then that's beautiful. See, and that's what I want to get to people, is that it can be that way. It is that way, and that you can direct it. You direct your life.
You know, you could be a very effective evangelist if you're willing to try it.
Some people have said that
Yeah.
before, and that's another thing I've thought about.
Yeah.
I don't want to be an evangelist.
Yeah. My father was.
Is that right?
Yeah, so I've heard a lot of them.
Far out. Well, see, like I think I'm cluttered up in my pictures of evangelism and religion
Yeah.
and
They're
politics.
often very different.
Oh, yes, sir. I agree.
Evangelism can be political or religious.
Uh-huh.
Actually, I think.
Right. And I don't know how much of that works, you see. And I feel that right now I'm doing all of those things, and I'm doing it in music.
Well, evangelizing is conveying a message. I think is what the definition of it should be, probably. Conveying a
Far out.
message to many.
Is that the?
I don't know if it is the book definition, but that's the connotation I get. But,
That's great. And if that were it, then I am an evangelist, and evangelism is my work. You know, in the form of music. That's far out. I have to look that up.
Yeah,
You like to look in the dictionary at all?
Yeah, I do.
I like words. Words are far out. Understand. To stand under. There's more to that, but I understand what understand means. You know? Realize. To make real. Experience. The way it is. Truth. The way it is. I think some of those are not necessarily the book definitions either. They're my definitions.
One song, this doesn't have anything to do with anything either, but one song I want to go back and listen to is the Woodstock.
Yeah.
Because as I recall, when I played it, it had almost a wistful air to it. You know,
Far
it
out,
must have
yeah.
been really great. You know, that sort of thing.
Yeah. That's exactly it.
Yeah.
There were so many images and pictures that I got out of Woodstock from not being there, but seeing, remember that life thing?
Yeah.
The whole life thing, and then the movie?
Yeah. I wasn't there either, but I think that those images were better seen from afar rather than having been there. From people I've talked to who have been there, you know.
Right, right. But from where I was looking, that's the way it appeared to me, which was in as much a fantasy as wanting to be a part of that experience. See, I wanted to be a part more of the fantasy. Sail away home. Listen to that. I wrote that after Kent State, the day after Kent State, which I don't know if anybody knows.
Yeah, I will have to play it. So we'll get back.
So on Whose Garden Was This album? A lot of people have, not a lot of people, but like 3 or 4 in the past few months have mentioned that in listening to all my albums, they all sound like me except Whose Garden Was This?
I wonder why that is. I mean, why you would think that?
I don't know. Be interesting to look at. Pretty far out. You know, see, it's really interesting to me, Chet, what is going on. You know, not only see, like I mentioned before, I'm real interested in a lot of things going on out there, but I'm most interested in myself and what my experience is of all of that out there. I'm real interested in the songs that I write. I'm real interested in the things that I'm into, you know, or rather, see, that's like that's redundancy. I'm interested in observing me and the things that are happening to me, the things that are happening to me in music and in my relationship to people and in my growing, in the things that I'm learning. It's interesting. My success is interesting to me, you know. And more than my success, actually I shouldn't say that, because success, I think, is another one of those words that has a lot of different meanings for people, you know. Some people might think I mean by success by being a big record artist and you know, traveling all over and making a lot of money and stuff like that. What I mean by success is that I am happy in what I'm doing, and I sense that it's growing. And rather than getting to a space where a lot of people might stop or stay, I find myself into all these new things, you know, and that it's still growing. In fact, it feels sometimes like it's just starting right now, you know. I'm just starting to get it right in television, you know. I really enjoyed the show we did the other night. I thought it was the best of the 3. And I enjoyed the other ones too, but I think that I'm getting it together in television. It's like the last Carson show that I hosted. I thought it was better than the early ones. I finally got down to being a host and talking with people and letting them be themselves and letting it be there as opposed to following a script, you know. Feels like it's all just starting, you know? And I think that's so far out. Today, it's interesting to me also that the value that documents have. Because I was going to say today, Annie and I started a family, and that's really not true at all, because in fact it started 9 months ago, and when Zachary came into our home, and in fact it started long before that. But today, all the red tape and all the stuff that goes on to, that we as a people have added on to it being what it is, was finalized. You know, we got all the agreement necessary that Zachary is our little boy now. And I wept at that. And yet, from before Zachary was born, he was our little boy. And that's another story. Maybe I'll tell you about that sometime. Has to do with the perfection of life. I feel that children choose their parents. I feel that children are responsible for the space they create for themselves to grow up in. And see, that's 2 hours of talking right there, and I think that you're tired.
You should write a book.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to write a book. Yeah, I do. I want to try to put some things down in a way that's not disciplined or confined by song, music. Sometimes that's a confining space. It's especially confining when radio stations won't play a song that's longer than 3 minutes, which is one of my sore points.
It's funny that the Dylan single off his album is 5 minutes, but sent it out unedited. I don't know what's going to happen. That'd be an interesting test.
There were 5 stations in the country that did not play Back Home Again. And they did it because, as I understand it, the head station or whatever it was said they would not play a song that was more than 3.5 minutes long. And Back Home Again was 4.5 minutes long. In spite of that, Back Home Again was the #1 song and it sold 1 million copies and blah, 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 blah. So that's great. And if this particular station plays a Dylan song, I'll go ask him about it. But see, that's one of the things that you have to deal with, you see. So I have to take a song like, see, a song is a song is a song, and the length of it and the beginning of the end really don't make much difference, except to the song. But it irritates me, and that, yeah, I guess it does irritate me, and hopefully I get through it, but it does irritate me. But I have to take a song like Sweet Surrender, which was written to be repeated, and do it just once. The song doesn't sound right for me on the radio when I hear it. When I take a song, Thank God I'm a Country Boy, and I have to cut it down to be a single. And I'm willing to do that, to make that compromise, because then people will hear it on the radio in their car, more likely, and then they will want to get the album, possibly, and listen to that whole thing. And that will be the way I want it to be. And those songs will be the way they are as songs. See, I've got control over that. So you play the game. See, there's just another thing. So it irritates you, big deal. You know, it irritates me that you don't give me a song that's 2.5 minutes long, schmuck. You know, who the hell do you think you are? So you play the game, and people get irritated, and it goes up and down and back and forth. And within all of that, there is a space for the truth.
Well, I think we both leaned in almost.
I think we have, Chet.
Well, what I'm going to do then is